Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Armchair Booking Wrestling Podcast. I'm your host. My name is Stunning Steve Barber, and joining me is my awesome co-host, Delicious Dwaylon Davis.
Hey, everybody.
And Happy New Year. Welcome to
Yep.
2023.
Happy New Year.
So far, it's not been the greatest of years as far as like just bad news just left and right.
Yeah.
But we are still going to be optimistic because that's who we are. We are two positive people. We try to keep
Mhm.
this a positive podcast. And I'm pretty positive that there's been some suckitude the past few days already.
Yeah. I second that. That is
Yeah. Some of it, I mean, is personal.
Yeah.
Some of it is because of an event that made the worldwide news that happened
Mhm.
28 miles away from me,
Yeah.
Monday night, which I will say this tragedy unites people.
Mhm.
It shouldn't have to be the only thing that unites people, but tragedy does unite people.
Yeah.
And I say young because, we're old enough we could be his dad.
Yeah.
DeMar Hamlin, the Buffalo Bills safety who just made a routine tackle.
Yeah.
I don't care what dude from ESPN said the next day. Well, I think, the tight end lowered his.
He
No,
wasn't headhunting. He
he,
just made a routine tackle.
yep, he made a routine tackle. Hey, what are you doing? Who is that?
Steve said, "Hey, what are you doing?" Abby got out of the Abby got out of the bath, so she had to grab Abby some underwear.
Gotcha. Okay, so that could have been a lot worse,
Yeah. Yeah, it could have been Abby
So
butt naked coming in.
yeah, it's like, all right, we're gonna have to stop
We got
and
to
let's,
edit that out.
yeah, because we want to make sure we stay on YouTube and not go
Yeah.
to jail.
Yeah, exactly.
But but the tackle looked like a routine tackle, a good tackle actually.
Yeah.
He got him down, and he stood up and then just collapsed.
Yeah.
And and they said, I mean, he went into cardiac arrest. I
Hmm.
mean, in other words, his heart just stopped right there. They performed CPR. They ran the defibrillators on him, and they got him to the hospital. The latest update: he is making a remarkable recovery. He's now communicating with doctors, and apparently, the first thing he said was, "Who won the game?" And a meme I saw said, "Sir, you won the game."
Yeah, exactly.
Because I mean,
Exactly.
if you've seen, I know you've seen some of the pictures because the mutual friends we have on Facebook, who are from the Cincinnati area, posted
Hmm.
them.
Yeah.
Where, like, I don't know what road it is leading into Cincinnati where you see the big sign.
Hmm.
That's normally in orange and black or in red for the
Yeah.
Reds or whatever. They changed the colors to where it was blue with a red stripe going through it, like the Buffalo Bills.
Okay. Okay.
That to me is classy.
Yeah, that's very
You
classy.
know, um, and you see the fans because there was a lot of Bills fans in the stands at night, and nobody was. I mean, everybody became united at that moment. Because I actually knew some people who were also there, and they said, I mean, it was just quiet, and I wasn't watching the game when it happened.
Right.
Um, I don't remember what I was doing because we didn't record because, well, it was a holiday,
Hmm.
and you know, um, but I wasn't watching it. I mean, I was going to turn it on at some point. Then all of a sudden, I saw a notification that it's been postponed, and I'm looking outside, going, "Okay, it's not raining, not that I can see, because I'm close enough,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
geographical wise, that their weather is probably usually the same weather I'm getting." And then all of a sudden, I saw the headline that said it just said a player collapsed on the field. Huh? And then of course
Hmm.
now we know
Yeah.
what all was going on. So, um, but yeah, so that's how there's just been a lot of news like that come in. Of course, we have mentioned Ted the Hillbilly Hill. Got to mention
Hmm.
him again. His GoFundMe is still active. I've actually corresponded with him. He is so extremely grateful to everybody who's been sharing that, and the thoughts and prayers that have been coming his way. Because I mean, well, unfortunately, yourself,
Yeah.
that's a rough time.
Yeah. Absolutely a rough time.
Yep. And I do think though it's also one of the times where you also find out human nature. We like to help people,
Hmm.
you
Yep.
know, and you know, and I think you and I especially, we like to help people.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, we do whatever we can to help out, especially people who we feel like we're close with, So, um, and yeah, so it's just been, the year so far, of course, I mean, I'm not going to go into like our personal stuff going on, but I mean,
Yeah.
it's been kind of a crap show.
Oh yeah.
but,
Yeah.
um, but, and I asked you before the show started because we always talk about, have you taken your medicine because we're old. We're almost half a century old, and
Yeah.
so I'm on 4 different kinds of diabetes medication. I'm on a couple for blood pressure. I got cholesterol medicine, allergy medicine. I mean, of course, I mean that could be really any age. I got acid reflux medicine. I mean, I'm sleeping with the CPAP. You're sleeping with the CPAP also. I mean, so we have very parallel types of ailments here.
Yeah, I take 5 pills a day, and I take 5 pills in the morning, and I have 2 that I take at night, and then of course I'm on my CPAP and all that good stuff. So
5. That's it. Those are rookie numbers, son.
I gotta bump those up.
You gotta bump those numbers up.
Well, I'm not trying to bump those numbers.
No, but I just figured I'd throw in the Wolf of Wall Street joke.
Yeah, I love that.
But speaking of jokes, there's one more I got to tell you, and I don't even know if I ever told you this story because one of the things I did ask you about, was because you said you've gone to the doctor, you got to because I gave blood this morning, I had for labs. Got talking about that, and I asked you in a very serious question, and I even said it's not in a racist way, so if people get off my back. This is me being concerned for my friend,
right?
I said, how is your heart? And you said your heart is absolutely great, and I'm like, that's fantastic. Because unfortunately, heart disease
runs very rampant in Black culture. So it was a legitimate question.
Yeah, and because when I was in Afghanistan, there was a guy who worked for me. He got the notification one day his dad passed away of a heart attack when he was only like 45.
Jesus.
Yeah, and so I mean, we had to get him out the door on emergency leave.
Yeah.
Because of that. But yeah, 45 years old, and it's like, wow. But one thing, and I will actually, I don't know if I've ever told you this story. This happened when I was in Korea, right? There was a guy I worked with, our security officer, our security dude. Yeah, he was an Air Force cop, but he was doing more the security side, not the law enforcement side. Black dude.
Right.
And we would, and he smoked. And so a lot of times, we would smoke together. Sometimes he was coming out right as me and some other people were heading back in, and he'd always mess with us and say, "Where y'all going?" Because I'm black, ain't it? Stuff like that. I'm like, all right. And one time I did it back to him, and I was walking out, he was walking in. I said, "What?" Because I'm black, ain't it? And so I mean, we would always just mess with each other like that. But I told him, I said, one day, I said, I'm going to get you at work. I said, I don't know how. I said, but I'm going to get you, at some point. I said, but it's got to be the right moment. So that way nobody who wasn't in the know, because we made sure we didn't do that. There was like perfect strangers out in the smoke area because we were actually, like mad at each other, so we only did it like people who knew us. We were in self-aid buddy care training, and, that we had to go through this, like once a year. And he was like one of the actors. Well, he all of a sudden dropped down on his knees and like collapsed in front of me doing like this. And I jumped down, and the girl doing it, she said, "All right, what's going on?" It's because we're trying to assess the situation. I said, "He's having a heart attack." And then she said, "How do you know that?" And I said, "Well," I said, "he's a black man, more prone to heart disease than anybody else." He's supposed to be dying. He starts busting out laughing. Everybody's in there just cracking up. And of course, she's mad, like,
oh yeah, because you messed up the whole thing. Yeah.
and he told me later on, he's like, "You are so stupid." I'm like, "I told you I'd get you."
Like, I told you.
I mean, and that, ladies and gentlemen, is how you can make a joke about race without being racist.
Exactly.
There is a difference.
Yeah.
But that was actually at work, so everybody up there knew us, and they knew we were pretty tight. So, even though he deleted me off Facebook 2 years ago or a year ago.
Oh wow.
Yeah, politics. And it's like, dude, seriously, I mean, I never would have thought he would be somebody who would, because I mean, we were pretty good friends at one point, even because we were both actually stationed in England. We weren't stationed together in England, but we were both in England at the same time as well, and so had a barbecue at his house and things like that. But yeah, so that's the New Year's, the first joke of the new year, the first good story. Yeah, I didn't think I'd ever told you that story, but I figured you might
No.
like it.
Yeah, that
So,
was a good one.
yeah. But before we continue on, I want to go ahead and give our contact and listening info. If you want to email the show, it's armchairbookingpodcast@gmail.com. If you want to find us on Facebook, it's facebook.com/armchairbookingpodcast. You can find us on Instagram also at Armchair Booking. You can find us on Twitter at Booking Armchair. You can find us on TikTok. I don't know why, but at Armchair Booking. I have actually tried doing videos, by the way, and it just
Hmm.
I'm dumb when it comes to TikTok, I guess. But I need to get like a better setup. But speaking of videos, if you're watching us on YouTube, you already know we're there. But that is the only video platform that I'm aware of that we're on, because YouTube are very strict when it comes to like third party stuff. It's
Yeah.
hard
Yeah.
when they got on lockdown. However, audio platforms, though, you could find us on just about any audio platform there is. Even some I'm continually finding, us on
Hmm.
these different ones and even different rankings. If we're not there, let one of us know, and we will do what we can to get ourselves added. And like I said, I would try to get ourselves added. I have not been successful at Pandora yet, and apparently it now kind of removed us from Stitcher. There's not been any new episodes come up on Stitcher since I tried that.
Hmm.
I don't know what's going on
I
there,
don't either.
but and because of all this, we're on IMDb.
That's
Which is
right.
still the strangest. I'm still trying to figure out how that happened. But we also have merch. If you would like to order a shirt, not the shirt I'm wearing, this was like an old prototype shirt that I
Hmm.
tried out with just an all red logo, and the everything's real small. That's for the people on video. If you're on audio, well, it's just a shirt with a really old logo on it that doesn't look right. I just needed a shirt this morning. And but you can go to tpublic.com/user/armchair-booking-podcast. That's where you can find our merch. You can also find Dwaylen on his other social media on
Hmm.
Twitter at fat_daddy73, because he is Fat Daddy. His wife Hope is Big Mama. And they
Hmm.
also have a YouTube and a TikTok channel, both named Big and Fat.
Yep.
Not to be confused with Big Fat, who is a friend of ours.
Right.
Big Fat is our friend Chris, who we knew in high school.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, but he has like 1.5 million followers on TikTok,
Hmm.
and he's doing really well for himself. I'm glad to see it. Um, and I know there's my other podcast, the Cubicle Chat. You can always find it in the audio platforms. You can also find it on all this other social media platforms. Just look at Cubicle Chat. It's not as prevalent. We don't have a YouTube yet. We don't have merch or Instagram, anything like that.
Hmm.
But there is a Twitter and there is a Facebook. And we actually just did a Happy New Year show last night. So that one is, my co-host is a guy I was in the Air Force with named Mike Stahl. I call him Magic Mikey Stahl, but we're trying to figure out some good nicknames. Kyle's actually trying to help us figure out some good nicknames. And one of the ones he sent to me earlier today was Steve, get off my lawn, barber. So
Get out of my yard.
get out of my yard. I could see that. Um, and Mikey, because he was talking about, he referred to himself as having man boobs or moobs last night. Well, Kyle said, well, call him Moobs Mikey. So I was like, well, you know what? I said, well, let's let Mikey decide that. And so, oh, wow, I was talking about that thing about the Bengals.
Hmm.
I don't know if you can see that picture right there.
Oh yeah, I
Yeah,
see
see
it.
it, the blue with the red. So,
Yeah.
or did I say red and blue? That's just blue with the red. I was wrong with that. But I believe that is all the social media.
I believe so.
Yeah, I do know unfortunately, we fell out of the top 200 on the main ones. On Good Pods, though, we are way up there on a few different charts, because Good Pods, that is the site that you can actually listen to podcasts, but they are more they are an indie podcast, and we are still considered an indie podcast because we don't work for any corporation. We work for
Right.
us.
Right.
So, and yeah, so it was kind of nice to see that, at least there's a lot of people that go to there to find podcasts. And so, so the other podcasts that are on Good Pods, actually, Wrestling with the Truth with BC Hunter and Jay Myers. See, I remember. By the way, I messaged BC and I told him, I was like, dude, before you listen to the next episode, talking about, last week, I said, I apologize. Please tell Jay we apologize because we're both having like an old man moment, and neither one of us remember his name.
Yeah.
And they actually are doing something a little different starting this year. They just came out. They talked about it on their, I think it dropped today. Um, but they are going to be focusing on the Monday Night Wars, or really kind of like Monday.
I saw that on I can't remember if it was Facebook or Twitter, but I saw it on social media earlier that they were going to do that.
Yep, I have a feeling it's still going to be good because those guys they do a great show.
Oh yeah,
They just got a sponsor, and then I can't remember the name of the sponsor, but it's somebody who makes wrestling masks. And
cool.
so I think I might want to contact this person and see if we can, you know, because I think that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
But speaking of 2023, this is what we're going to be focusing on today. Is let's see, what did I text you earlier today? I even had a good title for it, and I think I'll keep the title unless we can think of any reason not to. 2023, moving forward.
Yep. Yep.
So, because last year we had a similar show that said, "What does the wrestling world need to do to have a good year 2022?" Which we were inspired by that title from Justin
Yeah.
on TNC Sports Talk.
Yep.
So,
well, 2023 it's started out eventful. I do need to say, rest in peace to Don West.
yes.
He was the one of the original announcers on. He was one of the original commentators when TNA, which is now Impact Wrestling, when TNA first started, and for years he was a big part of that. He passed away on December 30th. So our thoughts and prayers with his family. Sasha Banks made her debut in New Japan Pro Wrestling.
I've seen some pictures. I have not seen
I saw
video,
the
but
clip.
I've seen pictures.
Kairi, well, she just goes by Kairi in Japan, but it's Kairi Sane when she was in WWE. Kairi is the current IWGP Women's Champion. The first actually, because when she won the tournament that they had late last year to win that title. So she had just defended it, and then Sasha Banks came out, and her new name is Mercedes, which is her actual first name, but it's Mercedes Moné is her wrestling name now.
Interesting.
And she comes out, hits a move on Kairi, drops her, poses with the title belt, and now they've booked the match. Mercedes versus Kairi for the IWGP Women's Championship at New Japan's next event. So that should be excellent, and New Japan should be proud of themselves because they signed, in my opinion, the best female wrestler in the business.
Mercedes Sasha.
Yeah, if you take everything that is needed for a professional wrestler, Sasha / Mercedes has every bit of it. She has in-ring skills, mic skills, charisma, it factor. She looks like a star. She carries herself like a star.
She has a wrestler's build.
She has a wrestler's build. She makes everybody in the ring everybody gets in the ring with her looks even better when they come out because she brings the best out of everybody that she's in the ring with. And I find it foolish that WWE couldn't come to terms on money to sign her. I mean, if you're signing Brock to big money deals and he shows up 12, 13 times a year,
if that,
you could give Sasha big money because she was there 300 days a year. So,
yep,
bravo to New Japan on that, but not bravo to New Japan on the fact that Kenny Omega beat Will Ospreay for the IWGP United States Championship because Will Ospreay is fantastic, and I did not like seeing him lose the title. Not that I hate Kenny Omega. I think Kenny Omega is fantastic. I've gotten more respect for Kenny Omega, but I still think Will Ospreay is better, and I still think it was the wrong call to put the belt on him. But I'm not their matchmaker, so that's just my opinion. Another news thing I saw earlier today. Money in the Bank will be in London.
Yep, in July 1st.
Yes. Yep.
I saw that, and I don't know if You've caught, which I'm pretty sure you have, because I've seen it being posted on Facebook. But as we speak, down in Louisville at Ohio Valley Wrestling, they're having the Women's Nightmare Rumble.
I saw Big Mama had posted something about. She had been posting over the weekend on Twitter uh, that
Oh,
happened.
not just Big Mama. Ella, who's been on the show, Nikki Victory, who I want to get on the show,
Right.
Riley Matthews, who's also been on the show, and you missed it, but we want to get on here again.
Right.
Let me see the other ones, and I'm just mentioning the NWF ones. There's 4 or 5 from the NWF who are actually going to be there tonight. I thought Savannah Sweet was one of them, but I guess I was wrong. Because Savannah Sweet, she's been wrestling for right about a year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But she's another one that you wouldn't look and go, oh, she's still green. I mean,
Oh no. Yeah,
really
I was
good.
very surprised when I found out she's only been wrestling about a year because
Yep.
it's like she's definitely a pro.
I thought there was one more from the NWF, but I was going to say, yeah, at least those 4 from the
Yeah.
NWF are going to be down. I mean, they're wrestling,
Awesome.
they're doing this right now. So, um,
Congratulations to Adam Swayze on becoming a Grand Slam champion.
yep. And even though we were supposed to have Beck Reeves on the show, it was just kind of hard getting it all scheduled.
Yeah.
Um, I'd like to get Adam Swayze back on the show with you on here as well.
Yeah, because I missed that one. Yeah.
Dude, I hate that was a great interview because he's one of the ones I think he's going to be in the business for a while because he has a great head for the business and he thinks about wrestling all
yeah.
the time. So, I mean, he was even, because I was even asking him, basically like, what'd you want to do when you were a teenager? Oh, I want to be a wrestler,
Mm-hmm.
and that's what he studied. I mean, and he studies the history and, the moves that he's always striving to make himself better. And that's why I think he will, he's going to go far. The only thing that might hold him back, and it's not his fault, is his size. He's not a big guy. I mean, he's kind of a smaller guy.
Mm-hmm.
That shouldn't mean anything anymore.
Right. No, not at all.
Because, oh man, he's got the talent.
Yeah.
That's for sure. And, and they keep putting belts on him for a reason.
Yep.
Because he's believable as a champion.
Oh, yeah.
And, I forgot, man, there was something I was going to say right there. When he's also another, he kind of reminds me of The Miz. But I think, they actually were giving him advice or like, be like The Miz, just don't be
the Miz. Yeah.
Right. And because The Miz is a great heel.
Mm-hmm.
And Adam Swayze is a great heel. He said he only had like 1 or 2 times ever where he actually wrestled as a baby face. And he said it just wasn't comfortable because he's so used to.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I get that.
And some wrestlers are just natural heels. They're just, it's like you look at like Randy Orton. Randy Orton's a natural heel. Like he's done babyface, and I mean he's done okay, but works better as a heel.
Yeah, and yeah, because I don't like actually, just because I don't like Randy Orton's entrance music. I'm just going to come out and say it.
You don't like voices?
I don't like it. Just no.
I actually like it. It's.
I mean, it'd be all right. The timing of it's weird. Maybe it's coming from a musician standpoint. The timing of it's weird. I can't tell. It's I hear voices in my head, and I'm like, okay, did that just start on the beginning of the measure, or like,
okay, I see.
Leading to the,
yeah, I don't have that musician's mind, so.
Yeah, unfortunately, I mean, it's one of the things you do it enough, it becomes kind of a curse.
Yeah, and it's like, no, that's wrong.
Yeah, and that's why some songs that are great songs are hard to listen to, like Metallica Blackened, because you hear that, you realize those are actually after beats. They're not the downbeat.
Okay.
Yeah.
Didn't know that.
Yeah, so that's what I'm here for. I mean,
valuable information.
Yep. So, and that song actually has it switches time signatures a lot too. So that's kind of like Rush. Rush has some of the wildest time signatures out there.
Yeah.
But anyway, but this show's about wrestling. Even though I'd love to talk about Rush. Rush, one of the best concerts I've ever seen, by the way.
Okay.
I saw them in 1997 in Manassas, Virginia.
Damn.
But yeah. Yeah, on the Test for Echo tour.
Okay.
Great show though. But as far as we were talking about like heels and like moving forward throughout the year. Speaking of the NWF, and uh, you got to let me know when you're going to come up. Once
Yeah. Yeah.
you know, because like I said, you got if you do it before April, well, there's always an extra bedroom we have here.
Right.
After April, well, you'll be sleeping on our couch.
Right.
And our dogs will be staring at you like, you
Like
know,
there's a stranger in here. I don't know this
there's a
person.
strange guy, but there's an NWF show here in 2 days in Mount
Oh,
Orr,
okay.
and I'm going to be going, planning on going to that. I still do not buy tickets beforehand.
Mm-hmm.
The only reason why is because you never know what's going to happen.
Yep, that's true.
Um, but I'm still planning on going. I don't know if my son's going to go with me because he's really just not into going to watch like
Yeah,
indie wrestling shows. But I think Randy's going to go, and if Randy brings his son and my son are friends, and so
that'll work out. Yeah.
yeah, it's because what they end up doing is they end up running around like
Mm-hmm.
with a lot of the other kids, you know. But that one should be a pretty good show. I think that's the one. It's Tiny Tim and who we've had on the show,
Mm-hmm.
and Mr. Destiny, who we've also had on the show.
Yep.
So let me find, because I should know this already, but when it comes to December and leading into January, it's hard to keep track of anything. Um, all right, let's see. I'm going to the NWF's Facebook page. And oh, that's right. It's Tiny Tim, Mr. Destiny. And I thought it was another stipulation. I guess I was wrong. But either way, Tiny Tim, Mr. Destiny, that ought to be a good match again. Andrew Reed and the Swinger versus Adam Swayze and Joshua.
Okay.
Yep. So that one has going to have 2 referees. Those are the only matches that are listed on the poster, but I know there's going to be more. And the only I know 2 of these have not been on the show. I'd like to have both Andrew Reed and Joshua. I'd like to have both of them, come on
Mm-hmm.
the show. But Andrew Reed, just because if you would have seen him on when they did the Halloween show, when he came out dressed up as Eddie from Stranger Things, and then his entrance music was Master Puppets.
Yeah.
I was marking out. I was like, so but that's, I mean, they're in the NWF, they have a lot of other shows coming up. Of course, they're very, very good about that, and they always put on a good show.
Mm-hmm.
And as far as our show, I know we're starting next week. We're actually finally able to. I mean, it's becoming kind of real. We're starting our series. Talking to other. I don't know if I want to say super fans, but definitely very dedicated fans
Right.
about why we are wrestling fans.
Yeah.
And speaking of Randy, this will be, he'll looks like we have him scheduled Monday, and then Thursday looks like we have Kyle scheduled to come on.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't just select anybody for
No.
this. I mean, we're kind of, because we've even thought, because there's some other people that you and I have kicked around going, okay, we'd love to have them on the show. Now will they come on the show? That's the
Right.
thing.
Yeah.
Some people are absolutely willing to, which is great. We just got to schedule a good time, because we're trying to get BC and Jay from Wrestling with the Truth
Yeah.
to come on. That one's a little bit harder as far as like figuring out the time, because
Mm-hmm.
of they're in the Atlantic time zone, which I didn't even know that joint existed until
Yeah. Yeah.
because we always started just kind of once you hit Maine, okay, that's it. There's no more time after that.
It's like boop.
But no, they're up in Nova Scotia, so they're actually in the Atlantic time zone. So it does make logistical. I mean, of course, they've been able to do it, so
Mm-hmm.
they were able to have us in their show kind of late at night for us. Well, really, but even later at night for them.
Yeah.
So but we have been, as much as what we can, we try to be flexible to other people's schedules, because
Mm-hmm.
we can't say, well, we want you on our show and you're going to come on here in this day and time.
Yeah.
We know it doesn't always work like that.
Right.
Because we also found, unfortunately, there was Nicola Roberts. We were trying to get her on the show, but unfortunately,
Hmm.
her time, I mean, is very
Yeah.
limited, and she's the only one I know that can only record like during the day, during the week.
Right. Yep.
So, but I mean, hey, I mean, it is what it
Hmm.
is. So, um, but that's what I'm trying to, both of us have been thinking of ideas like, hey, how can we always constantly looking for improvement on the show,
Hmm.
even though we're happy with the way it's going, but we're still looking because
Yeah.
once you start saying, okay, we're good, that's when you start to get stagnant and complacent.
Hmm.
And then everybody says, yeah, there's nothing different about them.
Yeah. We
And
don't
y'all
want that. Yeah.
understand, me and Dwaylen, we are different. I mean,
Yeah.
if you ever met us, I mean, you'd know that. But um, but I mean, what all do you see happening? Not just for our show, but I mean, just kind of in wrestling in general. I mean,
Um, I think they're on. I think wrestling is on a good high right now. Um, there is a rumor going around that Vince McMahon is trying to come back to WWE in order to
uh,
sell the company. But again, I haven't seen any confirmation on any of that. That's just rumor. But
hmm.
but I think WWE is going pretty strong. Still don't quite know. Usually by now, you can usually guess where WrestleMania is going, but I don't really know right now because I know they still want to do Roman versus The Rock, which that match does not need the title, which means
No.
Roman's going to have to drop the title. If that's the case, Roman will have to drop the title before WrestleMania, which I
Hmm.
don't think is a good idea because this is working. It's still working
Yeah.
after all this time. So I say don't touch it until it looks like people are getting tired of it, and then do the drop because you could always have Roman win it again later down the line, or Roman's gotten big enough now, doesn't even need a title.
Right.
Uh, but I think Kevin Owens is going to be his opponent at Royal Rumble. Rumor has it that Sammy is going to be the opponent at Elimination Chamber.
Is that the one now between Rumble and Mania?
Yeah, that's either February or March, depending on when they want to do it. But that's the rumored match. Is they think it's going to be Kevin Owens and Roman for the title at Royal Rumble. Bloodline will finally turn on Sammy somewhere after that. Sammy will challenge for the title at Elimination Chamber. But then after that, it's kind of up in the air because the two scenarios that I could see, if they want to do Rock versus Roman, and they have to get the title off Roman because it doesn't need the championship. If that's the case, then they can revisit. Then Seth Rollins would have to win the world title because that way Cody gets his title shot when he comes back. Because I think Cody Rhodes is going to win the Royal Rumble.
Okay.
I think Cody's going to be back in time for the Rumble. I think Cody is going to win the Rumble. Only question is who's the champion by the time WrestleMania gets here.
What day is the Rumble on?
I think is it the 30th? I think it's the very end of the month.
Is it okay? Yeah, that's why. I mean, I knew it was closer
Yeah.
towards the end. Um, yeah, let me look
Or
at
if they
it.
do it on the week, if they do it on a Saturday, it might be like the
Oh yeah, they are doing them on Saturday, the
yeah
28th.
28th.
The 28th is a Saturday, so
Yeah, that's right because Savannah's birthday is the 27th and her birthday's on a Friday. Yep.
oh, there we go.
Yep.
So you're going to get another chess set. Have her play the computers. Maybe the computer can
I
actually win for once.
got close. We played about a month ago. I got close and then I lost my attention and she got me. Like I almost had her and then lost my focus and she got me.
I mean, it's like the equivalent of, you're like arm wrestling and she's doing like this, like reading a magazine. You're
Yeah.
struggling to find. She's like,
Yeah.
all right,
And the thing is, it's like she was sweating that match. She thought I had her.
really?
Yeah, she's
Ah,
like after it was done, she's like, man, I'm glad that's over because I thought I was gonna lose.
and I'm guessing she doesn't have an iPhone, does she?
Uh-uh. No.
Yeah, because I was going to say, well, they have the chess thing.
Hmm.
The iPhones have the game thing, and you can play chess because
Yeah.
yeah, my nephew down in North Carolina, uh, he decided a couple years ago he was going to challenge me to chess games.
Mm-hmm.
One of them, I sent that boy to the shadow realm. I captured every single one of his pieces. I mean, it was like I was just toying with him after a while.
That's how I did Savannah. I had the majority of her pieces. I think she was down to like four,
Oh,
and she still beat me. I made one mistake, and she saw it. By the time, and the thing is, I did it. I let go of the piece and knew right then.
one of those you're like, oh.
Yeah, it's like, and she's like, you let it go, and then she got it.
She hit you with the most devastating move
Yes.
in sports entertainment.
Yep.
The prize went up. And why is my daughter texting saying mom wants to fight a 14-year-old?
uh,
Oh, okay. Okay. The text conversation, and we're kind of sidetracking here, but my daughter texted earlier and said if I was one of the freshman boys and Dazed and Confused, I would just take the beating to get it over with. And my wife said that's a weird out of the blue comment. And Avery said I'm watching Dazed and Confused right now, which kind of figured out. That's why I said it. And man, Mitch can't act. You remember the kid Mitch?
yeah,
Yeah. And because Avery, she's very critical of
mm-hmm.
like acting,
Yeah.
because that's what she's into. And Swana says, I despise Mitch, worst character. And Avery said, he's just awkward. Then mom wants to fight a 14-year-old.
That's funny.
Um, yeah, but I mean, we get interesting text conversations from her anyway, but
Mm-hmm.
with her being at Disney. Because just out of the blue, she'll text something like she did the other day. I just had a pretty cool conversation with Doc McStuffing.
Like, okay.
All right, all right, and after a while, you just don't even.
Yeah, don't even think about it.
Yeah, I mean, she's met. I think it was Rapunzel or Sleeping Beauty, one of them. One of them she said was snotty. I don't remember which one, but she met her. They were just having coffee in the break room, and there she was. She's met Mickey because Mickey was supposed to be like out doing stuff. She's like, "Aren't you supposed to be out there now?" He's like,
It'd be all right. It'd be all right.
It'll be all right. So, but yeah, she comes home in April. That's what I'm saying. If you want to,
Yeah.
we have a free bed until April. Because in the middle of April, she has to be out of her apartment by the 20th of April. So I'll be going down there a few days ahead of time. I'll be driving down there by myself because Leighton has school.
Right.
So I'll be driving down there and getting her all packed up and hauling her back. Yep. And she doesn't know it yet, but I may have to teach her how to drive on the interstate because at some point I like to be a passenger.
Yeah.
But then again, I'm not going to throw in the deep end and say, all right, we're going to drive through Atlanta.
Right.
Because that'd be just cool.
Yeah.
But anyway, and speaking of Atlanta, we do know there used to be a pretty good wrestling organization out of there, WCW.
Right. Yeah.
I don't see them coming back.
No. AEW is still a really good product. We've still got looks like they're going with continuing the feud with John Moxley and Hangman Page. They'll probably book that one for Revolution, which is the February pay-per-view, I believe.
Okay.
Bryan Danielson has challenged MJF to a Iron Man match for the AEW World Title at Revolution. And
that'll be good.
MJF said he'll give him the match if he wins a certain amount of matches of people of MJF's choosing. So
he's got the gauntlet going.
Okay. Yeah. But that should be excellent. MJF has been a fantastic world champion so far. He's been a great heel world champion. Ricky Starks it looks like the company is about to strap the rocket to him, which is good because he's been excellent for a long time, and I'm glad he's getting more TV time and time to show what he's capable of because he's a star of the future too. He's got, the look, the skills, mic skills, charisma, all of that. He just needs that opportunity. He had a match with MJF for the world title on Dynamite a few weeks ago. He lost, but he didn't look like a loser coming out.
So it's another case of one person went over, but the other person got over.
Yep.
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 You
So I
that's
think
honestly, that's the way it should be.
exactly
Yeah.
because MJF won because the referee was distracted. He hit a low blow, and that's how he beat. That's how he beat Ricky Starks. So MJF, the heel champion, cheats to win, but Ricky Stark looks like $1 million coming out of it because it took a low blow to beat him. He didn't just beat him
Right.
clean. But I think AEW is still going to do good. I think there's some tweaks that they need to do as far as behind the scenes stuff. I think somebody needs to jump in and help Tony Khan with the booking. The booking's a little spotty sometimes. Like anybody who hasn't seen Dynamite from last night, spoiler alert, Darby Allin beat Samoa Joe for the TNT Championship. I have no problem with Darby Allin being TNT champion. I have no problem with Samoa Joe putting Darby Allin over. But the problem is they booked Joe to beat Wardlow, who was on a hot streak. So they booked Joe to beat Wardlow because they were feuding. And then only for Joe to not drop the title back to Wardlow, but to drop it to Darby Allin. Of course, they were in Seattle last night, which is Darby Allin's hometown. So
but still,
they gave him the hometown rub, but still, it would have made more sense if Joe was going to have to lose the TNT title, lose it back to the guy he took it from. Joe is still the Ring of Honor World Television Champion. So, Joe didn't come out empty handed. It's just the title switch didn't make, story wise, it didn't make a lot of sense. It's like you're feuding with Wardlow, you take the title from him, but you drop it to somebody that you don't even have a feud with. So
the first match with the person.
Yeah. Now, actually, I think it's second. I think this is their second match. One was just regular match on Dynamite, non-title match, and then Darby got a shot last night and ended up beating Joe. Now, I haven't seen the match, so I don't know if if Wardlow interfered or anything like that. I don't know if that went on, but just from what I saw on Twitter, Darby Allin beat Samoa Joe for the TNT Championship.
Wow. Wild enough, it makes me think about in '84, Starrcade '84, when Ricky Steamboat was going against Tully Blanchard for the TV title.
And then Dusty strolls in.
Yeah, first match and beats him.
Ricky Steamboat had been chasing Tully Blanchard all over the country for the TV title and couldn't beat him. Dusty strolls in, first match he has with Tully, he wins the TV title.
Yeah.
And it's like,
and that's why Steamboat left the Mid-Atlantic area and went to WWF. That was because he was involved with Don Cornudle, and it was supposed to be them and Sergeant Slaughter, against the Koloffs, in the flag match and blah blah blah. And well, Steamboat left right before that, and I want to say it may have been Magnum who actually took his place for that.
Oh, okay.
For that one special match they really didn't do pay-per-views. It was a special event. It was called Silver Star, but Steamboat left because he was mad at Dusty.
Yep.
And
because basically Dusty booked himself to win the TV title.
Yep. And it made Steamboat look really bad.
Yeah, it made Steamboat look, just completely made him look weak. But it's like, this guy comes in and wins it in one match. You've been chasing him for months and couldn't beat him.
Yep, because the last match was Tully Blanchard had the no-run rule.
Yeah. Yep.
So, but the stipulation was if Steamboat lost, he would never get another title shot. And then, well, he lost because Blanchard hit him with a foreign object on his hand, probably a paper cup.
Yeah, probably.
Put up, and knocked him out, and of course pinned him.
Yeah.
Then that also made me think when I met both of them, I had pictures taken with both of them up in last March up in Chillicothe. Now they weren't on like the same row, but I was thinking, wanted to keep them separate for a reason.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
never know. I mean, it's only been 40 years, but still,
There still
um,
might be some animosity there. You never know.
maybe. I mean, um, but yeah. So, and that's one of the things, when because I mean, we call ourselves the armchair booking because we
Hmm.
actually do examine things like this, and we've never been involved in the wrestling business
Right.
um, officially, you know, um, even though we've met a lot of the wrestlers and we've become friends with them, and we're friends on Facebook with them, and sometimes
Yeah.
their wrestling accounts and their personal accounts if they have too.
Yep. Yep.
I'm not going to mention names because just for
Right.
their privacy.
Right.
Just out of respect for them. Um, but when we look at it, we go, yeah, that does make them look kind
Hmm.
of bad. And you're really big into comics.
Yeah.
Everybody knows it. You are Batman, and when they write out the stories for comics, it's kind of the same. It's like you have to make you think that the good guy, Batman, is actually in peril of
Exactly.
losing
Exactly.
to
Yeah.
whoever.
Yeah. And then
And
sometimes the good guy does lose. Sometimes the bad guy does win, but the story has to make sense. And in this instance, it didn't make sense. Um, I also need Jade Cargill to drop the TBS championship. And here's why. Nothing against Jade Cargill. She's fantastic. It's time for her to move on and win the AEW Women's World title.
oh, that's right. I actually forgot that she was not the AEW women's
No,
champion. She had
she's
like the
yeah,
the second
she's
tier or the
yeah,
whatever you
she's
want to call.
yeah, the equivalent to the Intercontinental title,
Right.
basically, is how I look at it. But she's run through everybody for the TBS championship. I mean, she doesn't have any challengers left. Um, it's time to move her on to the AEW World title because right now Jamie Hayter has the AEW Women's World Championship, and a match between her and Jade Cargill would be fantastic. Um, so they need to make that happen because the world title scene in the women's division is kind of stagnant right now. Jamie Hayter is a great champion, but they don't have a lot of new blood in the pool, so to speak, to
Right.
have fresh matches. You're still getting Saraya still feuding with Britt Baker and Tony Storm still feuding with Jamie Hayter, and they'll sprinkle a few people in every now and then, but it's like it's just a revolving door of the same people. And it's like Jade Cargill will be a really good shot in the arm for the world title scene. And then get, what the TBS championship did for Jade Cargill could do for somebody else that's up and coming. Nobody knew who
Mhm.
Jade Cargill was when she first showed up on Dynamite, you know, and her and Shaq wrestled against Cody and Red Velvet. Now everybody in the wrestling world knows who Jade Cargill is.
Red Velvet. I forgot about that name.
Um, so yeah, I think that needs to happen. I think they need to hurry up and get this feud over with the Acclaim versus Jeff Jarrett and Jay Lethal
Yeah.
because I need the Acclaim versus FTR because FTR has lost all of their tag team championships now. They lost the
Really.
ROH tag titles to the Briscoes at Final Battle. They lost the AAA World Tag Team titles at their most recent show, and then at Wrestle Kingdom they lost the IWGP Heavyweight Tag Team titles. So now they went from holding 3 tag team titles simultaneously to none. So that would absolutely free them up for a run at the AEW World Tag Team titles.
Did you see Carl Anderson? He lost that
The
title.
yeah, the never open weight championship. He lost it to Tomatonga. Yeah.
Yep. And so that's why they're speculating that he may be doing a full time run in WWE because of that. Even though I will applaud WWE for opening those doors, allowing um,
Yeah.
the talent to wrestle in different because they have caught so much criticism over the past few decades
for being
as,
in that bubble. And it's like,
yeah, for trying to pretend like nobody else exists.
yeah, but since Triple H took over, you've got Carl Anderson, who when him and Doc Gallows re-signed with WWE, he was still the IWGP Never Openweight Champion. They allowed him to go for defend the title on a few of their shows, and then he lost it to Tama Tonga at Wrestle Kingdom. Shinsuke Nakamura wrestled the Great Muta
Oh man,
in
and
one of the Great Muta's final matches because he's about to retire.
I need to find the footage of that because
Yeah.
that just sounds like a match that's going to be awesome.
Oh yeah. And so that's amazing too. And it's like this is really good for wrestling. It's like you said, for decades, the biggest wrestling company in the world
Mhm.
was isolated over here from everybody or every other promotion. Every other promotion, for the most part, were working together, you know, and WWE's over here like we're the only ones that exist. And it's like you're not. So I'm glad they're acknowledging the fact that other companies exist and they're trying to build those working relationships with them instead of just trying to take over everything like Vince did in the territory days.
Because I can't see them. I mean, and I know the wrestling landscape in Japan is not like it was, even 20 years ago.
Yeah.
When you had All Japan, New Japan, you had a couple other ones, but those were the
Yeah.
two big ones. Because Japan, the style is so different.
Mm-hmm.
The strong style is really, really snug, and um, it's it's exciting, but in a different way.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because they're not about the theatrics ish. I mean, they do have some craziness sometimes, but
Yeah. They do have some, but they're more focused on the wrestling and they are as legit as you can be in
yes.
pro wrestling these days. I mean, I've seen some of the absolute hardest hitting matches I've ever seen in all of wrestling in New Japan.
And there has come out footage recently because I know I retweeted it and I think I tagged you when I tweeted it, but it was Hogan
Yes.
and
Yes.
it wasn't
It,
Tenru, was it Tatsumi Fujinami?
yes, it was Fujinami and
Man,
Hogan was putting on a wrestling display that nobody in the United States has ever seen.
I
Ever.
mean,
The
he was
entire
doing
run of his career,
oh
you never saw any of that stuff. I mean,
that match was. I didn't even see like the entire match. They were only
no,
showing
it was just a
highlights,
little clip.
but still, it was like, did Hogan just do an enziguri?
Yes, Hogan did an
I
enziguri.
was like,
Hogan did like a step over toe hold into a submission
yeah,
move, and it's like, who is this?
yeah,
Because
exactly. I
how come
mean,
I couldn't have got this Hulk Hogan? Instead of the three moves of doom Hulk Hogan that we got forever in the States. It's
yeah,
like we got the actual wrestling Hulk Hogan because he knew that gimmick wasn't working in New Japan. It just
and
wasn't going to work.
the wild thing, one of the last times that Vince may have allowed anybody to kind of go off was Hogan. It may have been during that run there
Mm-hmm.
actually, but Hogan, I want to say IWGP, they actually put the belt on him, and it was during one of the short periods where he did not hold the WWF belt,
Mm-hmm.
and he gave an interview where he said, "This compared to the WWF, it's like a Cadillac, against like a jalopy or something, something very similar to that."
Yeah.
And he was just trying to put over the IWGP belt.
Yeah.
Vince wasn't happy with it though.
No, and he also said that the WWE title was a toy compared to the IWGP title.
Yeah,
Vince wasn't happy about that either. Hogan
yeah.
wasn't wrong, but
No,
I mean,
I mean,
and I can't believe that came out of my mouth,
yeah.
but he wasn't wrong compared to the IWGP Heavyweight title at that time. The WWE title was the lesser of the two championships.
Yeah. And of course, most American fans, because they only see American TV,
Mm-hmm.
and so they didn't get the magazines or like what we did. And so
Exactly.
we
Yep.
knew
Yeah.
there was stuff going on elsewhere.
Yeah.
Of course, they didn't know, hey, Hogan's wrestling. They just said, oh, Japan, it's this other country.
Yeah.
you know.
This
And
other country that I think they wrestle, but I don't know anything about it, so I don't care.
yeah,
That's how people were back then.
yeah. I mean, every once in a while they'll have a Japanese guy come in and he does a bunch of karate chops, and
Yeah.
but that's how we know they're Japanese because they do a bunch of karate chops. It's
Because
like
they do a bunch of karate things, or we give them a stereotypical Asian name.
Asian, yeah, and which always drove me nuts.
Yeah.
I'm like, why
Same.
do y'all do that?
And then they would never say, like, especially in the 80s, they would never say Japan. They would always say he's from the Orient. And it's like, can you just say what country he's from? Just stop that.
That was WWF
Yeah.
saying the Orient,
Yeah.
and that well,
No, because NWA, when Muda came, they said where he was from.
it's like, oh
They,
yeah, he's from. I think was he built from Osaka?
yes, he's from Osaka.
Yeah,
Because so is Asuka. I'm trying to think who else is from Osaka. I can't think of it right now, but there's a few um, wrestlers that are wrestling in the States that are from Osaka.
I mean, the Grand Osaka. I mean, it's pretty big. It's not as big as Tokyo, but
Right, right.
Tokyo, like, it's always like in the top three
Yeah.
as far as like those cities in the world.
Yeah.
And Tokyo is, I mean, I've been there, and it is a very, very big city, um, very clean.
Hmm.
And my wife and I, we went there for our first wedding anniversary. We went down to Tokyo and went to Tokyo Disney,
Okay,
where
cool.
I met Tigger. And I actually told this story last night too. I met Tigger there, and then when I met him again in 2015 or 16 at Walt Disney World in Orlando, I mentioned, yeah, I met you in Japan. He remembered me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean, I thought that was kind of cool. Leighton thought it was kind of cool too. That Tigger actually remembered me from that many years,
Right.
16 years, and he's like, oh yes, oh, and um, but now I don't know as much about the Japanese wrestling landscape as far as like the actual companies,
Hmm.
because I do know that All Japan, New Japan's not really, I think, because one of them no longer exists.
All Japan is pretty much gone.
Okay.
New Japan is the top promotion in Japan. You have Pro Wrestling Noah and some smaller ones, but New Japan Pro Wrestling is the top promotion in Japan.
Oh, there you go. Um, and which one was Antonio Inoki, the late Antonio Inoki now?
He was part of New Japan, but he was also a big part of All Japan Pro Wrestling.
Okay. So all the legendary promoters over there have actually passed away now, haven't they?
Yeah, yeah.
You know, not necessarily, all the legendary wrestlers, because like I said, you have Tatsumi Fujinami, you have Great Muta, which him
Hmm.
retiring, I'm like, no, he can't be retired. Now I'm thinking, no, I remember that was 30 years ago. I watched live. I think it was one of the Clash of the Champions,
Yeah.
but the match with him and Pillman,
Oh yeah.
the match
Yeah.
with him and
Yeah.
Pillman. I was watching that live at somebody's house. We were picking somebody up. I don't even remember who we were picking up, but we were um, there, and we're just watching it while we were waiting for something before we were just leaving.
Hmm.
And I remember watching that match, going, "Oh my lord, this is like on another level."
Right.
And the match where Muda, or no, Thunder Liger. I don't know why I was thinking it was Muda, but it was Jushin Thunder Liger
And Brian Pillman. Yeah,
and
it
Brian
was
Pillman. Yes,
when they had the light heavyweight title for a while.
yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that match, I don't know why I was thinking it was Great Muda,
Yeah.
but Muda and Liger both, I mean, were
Yeah.
just
Yeah. Liger's
crazy
retired.
phenomenal.
Yeah.
Oh,
Liger has retired. Muda is retiring. Like very soon. Um, yeah. A lot of the legends are gone, either passed on or retired.
oh, but
But I think 2023 is going to be a good year for wrestling.
mhm.
Especially, I think it's going to be a good year for WWE as long as they keep Vince McMahon away from it.
Yeah,
Uh, and I know some people are going to be like, well, he's the reason there's a WWE. Yeah, and he would also be the reason that there wouldn't be a WWE if you kept him in
yes,
power, because he would have just drugged them down.
yep,
As long as Vince was in charge, people were not going to do business with WWE. They were already losing sponsors once the allegations came out. They were also, there was thoughts that USA was thinking about backing out. USA, if USA backs out of their deal with WWE, buy Monday Night Raw. I
Hmm.
mean, and if Fox did the same thing, then where's your TV?
Right.
Unless you
And
just stream everything straight to Peacock. But
not everybody has Peacock.
not everybody has Peacock. And the thing is, you're not getting that advertiser streaming everything from to Peacock because you're not getting the same amount of ads in your programming
Right.
and getting paid for that. You're not getting paid the same amount of money for streaming ads than you are for television ads.
Oh, well, hopefully, I mean, I'd like to see all the companies succeed.
Yes,
Um, I definitely want to see all the podcasts do well, especially ours.
absolutely.
You know, I'm kind of biased towards ours, but
Well, bias
um,
towards ours. I
you
want
know,
to, hopefully, things will get better, for Ted and his family, and we'll see Ted back, podcasting because he is a big part of the podcast community.
oh, he's already started recording again, but
Awesome,
he's
awesome.
not. Of course, he's not doing it from. They're staying with family members right now,
Right,
so he can't do it
right.
from home. But he's doing it from his truck,
Yeah.
which is actually kind of cool because that I guess is one of the things because we use Spreaker. I really like Spreaker. He uses Anchor. A lot of people are really big on Anchor,
Mm-hmm.
but you can do it. And I think you can also do it on Spreaker too with your phone, and it will save it for you, and then you can do all your editing if you need to.
Oh, okay. Cool.
I don't know how I would be able to add our music
Mm-hmm.
on there.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, so that's one of the things I'm kind of, but I mean, Ted does it. I mean, because
Mm-hmm.
he actually has intro and outro music too. You know, but he's able to do it. So I may have to come say, hey, how you do that? But it's funny because you'll hear him. You know, he'll tell you, look, I'm in the truck. You know, so you
Yeah,
may
yeah,
hear background noises,
yeah.
and you'll hear like the engine brakes. You know, you'll hear like wonk, wonk, and
Mm-hmm.
things like that. But he never misses a beat, and
No,
he
never.
still just and you're just sitting there listening, going, man, because he's looked up his last one. He did a lot of analytics. It's like by the numbers
Mm-hmm.
analytics. He was talking about the heels and winning percentages that they had, and he said a good heel is actually supposed to lose. They're not
More than
supposed to win.
Yeah, they're
And
supposed to lose more than they win because it doesn't hurt the heel to
right,
lose. It hurts the face when you have faces losing more than they win. It hurts their credibility. But if a heel loses, then it's just like he's had this coming,
hmm
and he or she has had this coming, and they got what was coming to them. And it doesn't hurt a
yep.
heel to lose because, in the grand scheme of things, the bad guy's supposed to lose.
Well, we definitely want to see Ted able to rebuild everything. I mean, literally, you know, because he is definitely like the connection for everybody. I mean, he
Mm-hmm.
is the pod father. I almost call him like the hub.
Yeah,
Everything is
exactly.
because he connects everybody.
Yeah,
And he reaches out to people and says, hey, I like your
yeah,
podcast.
yeah.
Let's do, and you're like, oh, okay.
It's like,
Because
all right.
yeah, because when he reached out to me, I'm like, okay, I don't know who this person is. We check him out. Oh, okay, he's got a good podcast,
Right.
and okay, he's number one in Antarctica. Um, he actually said the other day, he said one thing about the fire, he was not able to go do his meet and greet down in Antarctica yet scheduled.
Mm, that sucks.
And I'm like, and I was thinking, I love Ted.
Yeah, I know. He's great.
So, um, but not just Ted, but Wrestling with the Truth. I mean, those guys are great. BC and J, I'll go ahead and say their names again because the more we say their names, the less apt we are to forget them because we
Yeah.
just totally blanked on Jay's name. I don't know why.
Yeah, I
But
don't
Jay,
either.
once again, I apologize. I
Sorry
don't
about
know
that, man.
because I
It's
mean
been a
that was
rough it's been a rough couple of weeks.
yeah. And I had a great time on their show, and we're going to get them on our show
Yeah.
at some point. It's
Yep.
just a matter of deconflicting all the schedules. And I want to talk about mention the Dad World Order podcast, who are out of the Cincinnati area as well.
Mm-hmm.
Met them. It's funny because I met them in person at a show. We're talking. I was like, "Oh," I said, "What's your Twitter handle?" We'd go follow. We were already following each other on Twitter. I was like, "Okay." So, um, but them, Wrestling World with Austin Boyer. There's another one I just started listening to because I listened to their episode today. They were doing like a Mount Rushmore type
Mm-hmm.
episode, and it was soon as I can find it. By the way, on Apple Podcasts, if you go give us a 5-star rating and a review, we will read it on air. That is a
Yes.
promise.
Yep. We've done it. So.
Yep, we have done it. A show called Give Me Back My Pro Wrestling. And these two guys, they're brothers. And they actually just, the 1 or 2 episodes I've listened to, or I say it with, okay, the 1 episode I've listened to was one today. They, from what I'm gathering, they actually used to wrestle.
Mm-hmm.
You know, maybe not have hit it like real big,
Right.
you know, but they used to wrestle because they knew a lot of people. And I want to say their accents, they are from somewhere in the South.
Okay.
And so I'll have to look them up even more. Maybe like Georgia, you know, maybe North Carolina, South Carolina, something like that. But you can listen to the accents go, okay, it's not quite a Kentucky accent. Of course, I may just be totally off, you know. But yeah, no, that one. I was like, okay, they're actually associated with Wolfie D.
Okay. Okay.
You know, so if that says anything, so they, I mean, they've got some credibility for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
But that's another good one to check out. And as far as like wrestling podcasts, now I'm going through all the ones I've been just subscribing to left and right. The NWF, they have their own podcast out now, the NWF Power Pod. And wow, Smack Raw, and which is part of Botch Spots and Chair Shots, which is actually part of the Smack Raw network, which actually Ted's part of. And I want to say that BC and J, they're also kind of part of that as well, because they've actually done some collaborations.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Of course, The Hill Truth, mentioned that. And then the rest of them, I mean, it's like I've been listening to like a lot of true crime podcasts, like True Crime Cast, and plus they're Bless Their Hearts, which is kind of like their alternate not crime show, and also Hooked on Movies, which I've been talking to one of their guys, you know, about a possible collaboration.
Right.
You know, I need to get a hold of them again, because when you contact somebody like during the holidays, you know, you shouldn't expect a reply like right away.
Right.
You know, so
yeah, you got to give them time. They got family and everything.
And he actually did respond, you know, fairly quickly, but he did tell me, hey, if I don't respond right away, he said, I got family coming in for New Year's. And, you know, it's like, yeah, I was like, absolutely no problem. But when I mentioned us doing a collaboration because they do movie reviews.
Right.
And they are really good at doing movie reviews. If you know, you should go listen to their movie reviews, you know, Hooked on Movies. But you can take a guess about which movie. I said, hey,
yeah,
which movie, you know, you want to do The Wrestler?
Yeah.
And he came back, heck yes, because he's another believer in all the podcast community. Us, you know, this is like meeting new people and things like that. I'm like, awesome, you know. And so New Year's Eve, I watched The Wrestler. First time in over 10 years. I watched The Wrestler. A lot of stuff I'd forgotten about.
Yeah.
You know, great movie still. I mean, that opinion does not change. That is still a great movie. I recommend it. Although I will tell people that if you're trying to watch a movie to cheer you up, don't watch that one.
Yeah, don't watch that one. Yeah, that is not it. No.
Yeah, because the director and the writer also, but yeah, Darren Aronofsky is not known for writing pick-me-up movies.
No.
His movies are very gritty and real.
Yeah.
You know, now I can watch The Wrestler multiple times. I could not watch Requiem for a Dream multiple times.
No, I watched it once. That's all I'd ever need.
Yeah. And
yeah, that's it.
You know, and that's what most people say about Requiem for a Dream. They're like, man, that's a good movie. You want to watch it again? No.
No. God, no.
Nope. No. It's like, I mean, it is a movie all about drug addiction.
Yeah.
And what it will do to you and the things that people will do for those drugs. And
yep. But yeah, I think 2023 is going to be a good year for wrestling. I mean, we'll just have to see where it goes, but I think it's off to a good start anyway.
Yeah. You know, and we already know about, like I said, Money in the Bank going to be in London. You know, it's because they had such a great turnout. You know, they had a great show down in Cardiff. And speaking of being over in the UK, you know, I sent you a picture of this, but my wife actually got me, and I meant to wear the T-shirt today too, but ended up grabbing this shirt. But for those on audio, I'm holding a pendant. It looks like Drew McIntyre's
It
sword,
does. Yeah,
you
it
know,
does.
with the like the crest. It's a Scottish warrior,
Hmm.
and I can't wear it as a necklace because, well, my head's too big for this chain. But she also got me a shirt to go along with it, and so if I ever go to another WWE show and if I know he's there, I'll wear that
Yeah.
shirt and go, yeah, yeah. I can't do a Scottish accent real well, um, but yeah. So we know about some of the pay-per-views.
Yeah.
Um, we know AEW. They're going to be. They have been kind of getting weird lately, but I mean, I think
Hmm.
it'll pick up.
Yeah.
Um, I am hoping Impact. Well, I mean, I really hope all of them
Yeah. I
are
hope
going to be
all of them
more.
do well because I mean,
Yeah,
there's too much good wrestling out there for anybody to fail. So
yeah, exactly. And Will and I have said this so many times, and we'll say it again. I mean, and I'll say it humble in the face. We are wrestling fans.
exactly, we're not. No, we don't have any tribalism to one particular company. We are wrestling fans, and we like a little bit of everything. So
Yes, and that's the way we'll continue on
hmm.
this year, same as what we always have. We are
Yep.
wrestling fans, period. If one company just happens to have more news stories coming out than the other because WWE was just dominating headlines, not for good things, but
Right.
they were
Yeah.
dominating headlines for a while. But then AEW, well, then the flip side, AEW all of a sudden started dominating for a few
Yeah.
weeks, not
Not
for
for
good
good.
things.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but I mean, it kept things interesting, and I think this year is going to be really good. And I also invite anybody who's listening, if you want to come on, let us
Yeah.
know
Let
because
us know, and we'll get
yeah,
it. We'll work with you. Yep.
yep, yep. So, but Monday looks like it's going to be another good
Yep.
show.
Yep.
You know, Randy's looking forward to it. Coming on, we're going to talk about why we are wrestling fans, and
Hmm.
we're going to try to keep that series going. And um, that's something that I think is going to be just absolutely great.
Yeah.
So,
Me too.
but
All
until then, my friend, good night
right.
and God bless.
God bless.